I was a bit late to study PHROLOVA, so my editor wrote up a TLDR. What the f? Imagine that you're on a train, and that train is heading to Gainesville. That's right, you're jacked. There are only 3 people on the train. You, me, and my wife. I'm about to teach you all about PHROLOVA in this video, including how to play her and her best build and teams. But wait a second, if I'm teaching you how to build PHROLOVA, and you're here, and I'm here, then who's conducting the train? Welcome to my PHROLOVA guide, where you'll learn all about her, and I already did the intro bit, so let's just get into it. My name is Braxophone, but you can call me Brax, and let's talk about PHROLOVA. PHROLOVA has an extremely long kit, but not as long as her arms look when she's conducting. There are plenty of abilities and combos that PHROLOVA can do, but I'm gonna focus more on the important parts of her kit that you actually need to know about. First off, PHROLOVA has an enhanced basic attack and skill, and you can proc either one by finishing her 3rd attack of her basic combo or by using her skill. Her enhanced basic attack does more damage, but her enhanced skill has slight grouping utility. So her basics are better against bosses, and her skills are potentially better against multiple smaller mobs. Whenever you use one of these enhanced attacks, you'll gain a note on her forte bar, with her enhanced basic giving a red note and her enhanced skill giving a purple. When you unlock one of her passives, her intro and echo press will also give her notes that are both. When you have 6 total notes, you heavy attack, and that will unlock your ultimate. Now, if you get any notes that would overwrite previous notes, it actually will just shift the bar over to the left one, but it'll keep all of your combined notes. PHROLOVA actually doesn't use energy. She and I actually share that in common, and it's likely the reason that I am also so emotionally constipated. PHROLOVA's ultimate gives her a massive 120% attack bonus and lets you take control of Hecate. She's basically a fully playable boss as a character, but the only thing you need to know about is that her basic attack 3 is an enhanced attack. Each note on your forte bar will change Hecate's enhanced attack scaling. A song will start playing in your ultimate, and every note that passes and is eaten on your forte bar will give 4 seconds of time for that scaling. Red and combined notes have the highest scaling, so it's best to go for those over purple notes whenever you're collecting them in her forte. Now, the cool thing about PHROLOVA is that she actually does seriously high damage with Hecate. So much that we're gonna forget everything I just told you and use her as an off-field DPS. PHROLOVA is what I would call an off-field main damage dealer, where you can still run a main damage dealer with her or a sub DPS, but either way, Hecate is still gonna jump them. You can swap off of PHROLOVA after using her ultimate, and Hecate will keep going with basic attacks. The downside is that Hecate's enhanced attack is not completely automatic. You need to trigger it by using a teammate's echo skill. The cool part is that some characters in the game, like Cantarella, deal echo damage without actually using their echo, and they can also trigger Hecate. In her best teams, you want PHROLOVA to be played off-field. Here's what optimal PHROLOVA play looks like.
Wow!
PHROLOVA can also end her ultimate early by holding a Resonance Liberation or by swapping back to PHROLOVA at any point from any of your other characters, in which case Hecate will deal a ton of damage. But if you combine this with her intro skill, you'll also get a higher multiplier there. PHROLOVA also gets some other buffs from her passives, like 30% damage reduction and interrupt resist whenever you use an echo skill. On top of all of that other stuff from her ultimate, PHROLOVA also gains what's called After Sound whenever Hecate uses her enhanced attack, which increases the multiplier on her heavy attack that you'll use when you have 6 notes ready to unlock her ultimate. With her later passive unlocked, it'll give her 2.5% crit damage up to a max of 24 stacks of After Sound, and after that she'll get 1% crit damage up to 100% for every bonus stack. With this same passive, you'll start with 10 stacks in battle, and that crit damage buff will all be removed when After Sound stacks are cleared, which can happen when PHROLOVA is out of combat for 30 seconds. PHROLOVA's outro skill is another addition to the Havoc family, where she'll give the next character a 20% Havoc damage amp and 25% heavy attack amp for 14 seconds or until they're switched out. And it can also proc Hecate's enhanced attack. Now, as far as talent priority goes, you'll want to level everything to max, but her skill can actually just be last since it does the least damage compared to the rest of her kit. Despite her lengthy kit though, she's pretty easy to learn and use, and in my opinion, that's all you need to know about her. So next up, I'm gonna go over her best rotation and teams. Like PHROLOVA, I'm full of melancholy because her best teammates are 2 characters that I skipped. Since she's so easy to play though, this section should be relatively quick and give you enough time to not care for Christophero's taste.
I don't care for your taste, Christopher.
One of FROLOVA's best teams is with Rochia and Cantarella, because they're both able to deal echo damage without their equipped echo, meaning that they can proc more enhanced attacks from Hecate. On top of that, Cantarella gives FROLOVA an extra 20% havoc damage amp and 25% skill amp when she comes back in, meaning that this entire team is dealing damage, and FROLOVA's the one conducting the entire thing. For this rotation, you can interchange enhanced skill or basic attack based on if there's multiple enemies or not, but we're going to be using enhanced basic for all of them in this example, since the multiplier for both FROLOVA and Hecate is higher. For this team's rotation, if you don't have FROLOVA's intro skill, you're going to want to start with basic 1-2-3 combo, but if you do have her intro, you'll just start with basic 3. After that, you'll want to use her enhanced basic attack into her regular skill, which procs a free enhanced basic once again, then use her echo, basic 1-2-3 into her enhanced basic attack, and after that, you should be able to heavy attack into her ultimate and outro skill. So that's basic 1-2-3 or intro 3, enhanced basic into her skill, into her enhanced basic, into her echo, then basic 1-2-3, enhanced basic, heavy attack, ult, outro skill. However, a lot of people will say that you need Cantarella and Rochia for FROLOVA, and that's not true. Because FROLOVA can be on field for even just part of her ultimate, she's usable in every team in the game. For example, she fits in teams with Zhuzh and Carlotta in the slot of Shorekeeper, where she adds a ton of damage in place of those missing buffs. FROLOVA can even work in this 100% free-to-play team with Verena and Sanhua, where even though Sanhua's buff isn't doing anything for Hecate, neither character needs a lot of field time, so you can use FROLOVA on field for a bit and still fit in Verena's field time, which, let's be honest, after that first rotation, it's not a lot. FROLOVA's an on-field main DPS in this team. FROLOVA also fits in a Dungeon Havoc Rover team as a general buffer and on-field DPS, and it's pretty dang impressive the numbers that you can pump out. She also slots into Gion teams with heavy damage amp, and with all of that said, even though she fits in Shorekeeper's place in most teams, you can play her alongside Shorekeeper's buffs and see crazy damage, solidifying FROLOVA as one of the most flexible characters in all of Wuthering Waves. The biggest downside to FROLOVA being your main damage dealer is that there aren't echo damage buffing characters, so her damage is mostly capped for the moment with whatever Havoc amps you can find, but she just does so much damage that it doesn't really matter. If I were a new player looking for a Havoc DPS, I'd likely go for FROLOVA over Camellia at this point, just due to the overall flexibility of her kit and the damage that she outputs in most teams. There's not many places you wouldn't want to put FROLOVA, and I'm sure there's a joke I could write about this, but I don't want to be put on the list. The last thing you need to know about FROLOVA is how to build her, so let's go over that next. I used to think that the world was gray, until I married my beautiful wife Carlotta. Unfortunately for FROLOVA, she did not marry my beautiful wife Carlotta, so her world is still gray.
I don't care for your taste.
Luckily for her though, she does have one thing to look up to, and it's the fact that she has a great echo set tailored to her needs. The Dream of the Lost Echo 3-cost set gives characters with 0 energy a 20% crit rate bonus and a 35% echo skill damage bonus. And yes, you heard me right, it's a 3-cost set. Makes me wonder if they're going to start putting in 4-piece and 1-piece sets. And because it's a 3-cost set, you can also opt for 2 of the Havoc Eclipse set or 2 of the Midnight Veil set, because both of them will give 10% Havoc damage bonus, which is going to be best for her. You can also opt for 2 of the Havoc Eclipse and 2 of the Midnight Veil set, or you could even go for the 5-piece Midnight Veil set to make your next Havoc character deal more damage. But all of those options pale in comparison to the new 3-piece set. They're all just going to be significantly worse, since FROLOVA herself is the one doing the most damage on her teams. You'd rather just buff Hecate with 35% damage and give her the free 20% crit. It's definitely worth farming the new echoes for her. Speaking of Hecate, her 4-cost echo is Hecate, the Nightmare version.
Wow!
She gives 12% Havoc damage bonus and 20% echo skill bonus for being in the main slot, and at least from my testing, she's the only echo you want to be there. For the main stats, I recommend going for crit damage or rate on Hecate, whichever you need more of to balance your stats. Remember though that FROLOVA gives a bunch of crit damage for free, so you may want to opt for crit rate anyways. She also gets a ton of attack bonus, so I recommend 2 Havoc damage bonus 3 costs and 2 attack 1 costs. Now, as for substats, there's no no echo damage bonus, so you're just going to be focusing on crit rate, damage, attack, and heavy and basic attack bonus. She doesn't have energy, so energy regen is useless. The other major part of her build is her weapon, but luckily most rectifiers with crit, attack, or damage bonus work for her. Her signature is Lethian Elegy, which gives a crit rate buff, an attack buff, and a ton of echo skill damage. It also has an 8% defense ignore at R1. Like every other character though, a great option for her is String Master, which gives a damage bonus and an attack bonus, as well as crit rate on the main stat. Other great weapons are Whisper of the Sea, Rime Draped Sprouts, Luminous Hymn, Cosmic Ripples, Augment, Fusion Accretion, and Jinzo Keeper. There honestly aren't great 100% free-to-play options, but you can always go with Waltz and Masquerade for the attack bonus if you have literally nothing else. And here's a chart comparing weapons for PHROLOVA if you just want a reference. I'm not sure how many of you were saving for PHROLOVA over the Onigiri Man in 1.0, but now that she's here, surely some of you saved up Astrite, right? Well, I'm just like you, except my Astrite are for Yuna. But if you're going for PHROLOVA sequences, this is what you need to know. First off, S1 is a multiplier increase on her enhanced attacks, and also gives PHROLOVA free mixed red-purple notes when she's out of combat for 4 seconds and not in her ult. That second part isn't super crazy, but does enable her to be played slightly different, and also lets you enter combat with some notes already ready. E2 is an increase to the multiplier of her big heavy attack and also to the added multiplier of aftersound. The multiplier increase is actually pretty massive and the gains on it are really clear. She'll also gain extra aftersound from using that heavy attack as well for more crit damage bonus overall. E3 is an 80% echo skill damage amplify, which is probably illegal in 49 states. Whenever you use PHROLOVA's big heavy attack before ulting, all of her notes will become the combined red-purple notes, and on top of that, enemies hit by Hecate's enhanced attack will get their attack reduced. I think that attack debuff is probably only really helpful for Hologram, but the rest of this sequence is pretty crazy. E4 is a 20% damage bonus to everyone in the team for 30 seconds whenever you use an echo skill, so basically permanent 20% damage bonus. E5 makes enemies stagnate for 4 seconds when using her ult, and also reduces her damage taken by 30%. I don't really know why the damage reduction's there, but if you're already getting E5, you might as well finish with E6, which not only increases the damage multiplier of Hecate's enhanced attack, but also gives Hecate an extra attack whenever PHROLOVA uses her enhanced basic or skill. It also gives more aftersound on hit, which is just a ton of extra damage, crit damage, and multiplier increase. Enemies take 40% more damage from Hecate and PHROLOVA when off-field, and when on-field, Hecate gets a 60% damage bonus. All of that is to say that this character has some of the strongest early sequence nodes in the entire game, and some of the strongest overall in the game. She's pretty crazy at S6, but if you're going for copies, I'd focus on her weapon first if you're lacking the other good options. S1 isn't insane value, but S2 is around a 40% increase, and S3 is almost as strong too. This is a chart Catalyst Online made when doing his calculations, and as you can see, she f***s. Unlike Scar, who should be in jail right now.